Welcome back, NoDQ Galaxy. It is the NoDQ review, number 331. I'm the Cleaver calling Andrew, your moderator for tonight. Could be my last time. Just saying, it's been a blast. But we have a panel tonight. Big G, he's maybe got to go to the bathroom or something. He'll be back in a minute, but he's here too. Joining me tonight, we got Aaron Richt as always, Papagino is the co-pilot, Mr. Reliable, Walter Cruz. Matthew, is this your first review?
Unmute.
You're muted.
First review with you, second or third review overall.
Okay, cool. So welcome back. Thanks for being here. And then, yeah, Big G will be back in a minute. So, how's everyone doing tonight? Gino, what's going on, bud?
Doing well. Looking forward to WrestleMania one way or another. We are on the end of the road, and I'm looking forward to talking about the topics that you've picked for us and with this esteemed panel. So, looking forward to it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, thanks for being here. Mr. Reliable, Walter Cruz, thanks for jumping in last minute. We had a lot of roster shifts for this. I had this thing booked like 2 weeks ago, and we have swapped 3 people in the last 2 days. So here we are. Thanks for being here.
I wouldn't be Mr. Reliable if I didn't. But yeah, I'm doing well. It's my wife's birthday, so we're hanging out and stuff. She's about to take the kids bowling now, so yeah, I was like, all right, I'll jump in here. Plus, I got the live stream later, so I'm just ready to get into it.
Hell yeah, man. Well, again, thanks for being here, and happy birthday to the missus. Matthew, how you doing, man? Thanks for making it in the nick of time.
I mean, I'm glad to fill in. You know, it's going to be a long week. I know we got a lot to talk about. I know a lot of people are not ready for Mania, but you know, a lot of people don't think it's going to be that good. But I'm trying to be hopeful. Maybe that makes me a mark, maybe not. But I think they're going to have to pull I hate to say it, they're going to have to pull an AEW. They're going to have to make the matches count this year, where the booking might have been lacking.
No, absolutely. Well, again, man, thanks for being here. And someone who was always happy to be here, Big G is back in the building. What's going on, bub?
Nothing much. Doing pretty good. We got WrestleMania this weekend, and we got some good topics. So let's get this ball rolling, baby.
All right, and over to Aaron Rift. How you doing tonight, boss man? Good to see you.
I'm doing well. Good to see you as well. Glad to have everybody on tonight for the final No DQ review before WrestleMania weekend, and this is the final No DQ review without Virtue. Virtue will be back next week, regardless of who wins the Saturday main event. For those of you that aren't aware, we have a little stipulation of our own for WrestleMania. As you can see, the winner will become the moderator for the No DQ review on next week's episode. Gino with Seth Rollins, Virtue with Roman Reigns, Colin with CM Punk. And as I noted on my Raw recap, I am officially changing my pick for WrestleMania. So sorry, Gino, I'm no longer going with Seth freaking Rollins. You guys want to know who I'm going with now? I said I would save it for the No DQ review. Do you guys want to know? How excited? All right. So I am going with, I'm not going to tell you yet. You're going to have to wait till later on. We're going to milk this for all it's worth. We do have a couple of super chats already, so thank you to everybody. First of all, I guess we got a couple of little warm-up side topics, whatever you want to call them. Tom sent in $2. Thank you, Tom. Says, do you think WWE will ever come back to cable? Well, they're on cable with SmackDown, but he probably means Monday Night Raw. I would not rule it out. I mean, I think they would be best trying to get another network deal. Walter, what do you think?
I think cable's about to be completely obsolete within the next 5 years, to be honest. I think streaming's going to take over. There won't be cable anymore.
Fair point. You know, I think they're going to be with USA Network for at least one of the shows. As far as Raw
Mhm.
goes, I think it'll either be streaming or it will be network TV. Maybe they'll move to another network at some point. But if Netflix is happy, I think they'll stay on Netflix.
To be honest, the only reason cable even still exists is because they package it with the internet and people just use it for the internet.
Right. Well, before you used to save a lot of money with cable. Now, I mean, it's almost the same with all the streaming services out there. You're basically paying what you were before, and then you're like, okay, which streaming service has this show? Which one has this movie? And you have to try to figure that out all the time, and it's just
I
frustrating.
used to
If you
have
have
that.
cable, at least you have the convenience of being able to find everything relatively
I used
easily.
to have the bundle TV, the internet, and the house phone. Remember that? And
Yeah.
that's how I had it for years.
Yeah, well, that's how my mom has it. That's how my father-in-law has it. They still have their old way of doing things. I think YouTube TV will survive. They're expensive though.
I
I
was
did
gonna say
switch
they
over
need
to
to drop
Sling.
their prices, man.
They have over doubled since we had it. I've had it for years. They have over doubled their price.
Yeah,
The
and
only reason I had it was because SmackDown was on Fox. Once they left, I canceled it.
And you know what? They can get away with it, but the question is how long? And same thing with WWE. That'll be one of our topics here tonight. WWE really pushing the audience with how much they're charging for events. Is the bubble going to burst on WWE's popularity? Oh, Big G just bounced. I guess Big G got tired of the streaming talk. But
His
let's
bubble
get
just
to
got burst.
his bubble did get burst.
He works for a
Dylan,
cable company and they hacked it. I'm
remember,
joking.
we were going to talk about the new shirt with Big G arrive, happy to be here, leave. That might be Big G again. Dylan sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Dylan. Says, what are your thoughts on the new WrestleMania 9 documentary? If you watched it, did it do enough to change your opinion on the pay-per-view itself, or does it remain the same? I'll go first on this. I've seen about half of it. I think it makes you appreciate the work that they put into designing the sets for these events. And in this case, they pretty much built the whole venue in a parking lot. I'm impressed with that. WWE production is always top notch. Doesn't change my opinion on the actual show. I think it's still one of the worst WrestleManias of all time. Anybody want to add to that?
I got like 30 minutes into it and got interrupted and this, that, and the other. But I mean, it was well put together from the little bit that I did see. I will go back and finish it, but I can't say if it's changed my opinion because I haven't seen the whole thing. But so far, so good.
I haven't even watched it, but the WrestleMania 9 to me was always the worst ever. Like I know you said one up, to me it's the worst.
All right, well, there you go. I'm not gonna argue for it being the worst. I mean, to me, it's interchangeable with 11, and I know some people hate 27, and that was definitely one of the worst, probably the worst of the modern era. Although some people might say 32, 35 is on the list for some people.
Honestly, if you look back like as an adult now, the first few of them were like horrible too. Like I'm not gonna lie. Like looking back, when I got the network and everything, I went back and it's like, how was I a fan of this?
I haven't seen it yet, but I mean, 9 has always been weird for me because, growing up, I was a Hogan fan. So, I didn't, so when I first saw 9, I didn't understand the problem of Hogan beating Yokozuna. But, as I've gotten older, it is harder to watch. There are some cool things. I know we kind of mentioned this. But like, I like the idea of it being one of the first manias that was outside. Things like Taker's entrance were really cool. There were some really interesting moments because they were first, but yeah, it definitely hasn't aged as well as some of the other ones. And of the first, 10 manias, it's probably the worst of the bunch.
Yeah, I mean, I'm agreeing with you on that one. And maybe the most interesting thing, Dave is a Beastly pointed this out, that Nick Khan was an usher at WrestleMania 9. I think that's a cool stat that he went from being an usher at WrestleMania 9 to becoming the president of the company. I found that to be pretty cool. Nice little stat there. Big G, did you see the WrestleMania 9 documentary?
Yes, I finished it. By the way, I moved to my mobile hotspot on my phone, and that seems to be better right now. Yeah, I watched it, finished it up yesterday, and yeah, seeing the whole Nick Khan thing was pretty cool. So,
All right. Hopefully, Chick-fil-A doesn't oppose the logo. But Cleaver, let's send it over to you. I think Popeyes is better than Chick-fil-A. I might not win over Chick-fil-A, but it's all good. Cleaver, throw it to you.
All right, man. Is this really WrestleMania season, or is this an over exaggerated Raw and SmackDown that's just appearing on a Saturday or Sunday? I feel very lackluster with this build that we've had this entire WrestleMania season, besides the triple threat. I mean, even Cody and Cena the last few weeks has really backed off. Uh, he hasn't been around. Yeah, Virtue of Saudi show. Yeah, it's not WrestleMania to me. Um, is there a decline in WWE right now? I mean, if you look at where they started the year on Netflix to where they are now, I mean, they are on the top 10 globally in Netflix, but it just doesn't seem to be hitting right. The shows still feel funky, like commercial breaks at random times, and they're not even like a commercial break. It's just, and we're back, and things don't line up. Uh, Storylines that are dragging on forever in a day. Um, your world champions, the winners of the Royal Rumble, not being, in a headliner match, which has always been like the point of the Royal Rumble. There's just a lot going on, and it doesn't feel to me like it's WrestleMania. Uh, the product, I don't want to say feels stale, but it just doesn't seem like it has in years past, especially with it being the first full controlled Triple H WrestleMania. So, Big G, I know you said you wanted to go first on this topic, so I'm going to let you take it away, bud.
I appreciate it. All right. Hopefully, I don't have any inner issues with this, but I'm gonna get through this. All right. So, first things first. Everybody is entitled to their own opinion. I'm looking towards WrestleMania this year. Is it like last year's WrestleMania? No. Last year's WrestleMania was hyped, with The Rock being there and stuff like that. And overall, me being there and Walter being there personally, it was better in person. Anyways, as far as this year's WrestleMania, yeah, the builds aren't all that great. Some of the storylines they staggered here and there, but in the end, we're still gonna watch it because it's WrestleMania. We as wrestling fans get together once a year to watch the Super Bowl of wrestling. And as far as I've seen people talking about like ticket sales and stuff like that going up and like for wrestling. Well, first it's in Vegas. Second, I think WWE is still hot right now, and they're, for the most part, selling out their shows every single week. And I feel like if they're doing good, they're gonna up their ticket prices. Does that suck for everybody? Yes, but I want to say last year, me and my wife spent like $1,200. WrestleMania, no, less than 1,200. How much were tickets for both nights? Do you remember?
Oh, for the tickets.
Yeah. Anyways, I feel like we spent less money than if we went to Vegas. So,
Oh yeah.
but yeah, and another thing, like people need to get over the fact, like they just need to get over that The Rock's not going to be there, or if he is, he's going to show up, just for WrestleMania. He hasn't. If the thing is, if he knew he wasn't going to do anything at WrestleMania, why show up at Elimination Chamber? Because if he showed up at Elimination Chamber, you're going to expect him to show up at show up like he did last year. But The Rock's a very busy man. He comes and goes as he pleases, and I feel like people are expecting The Rock to show up every single week, and they hold like I want to say that they're holding this WrestleMania up to high expectations because of last year. And we're not bookers, we're not writers, we're not producers, so WWE feels like they're putting out the best product for us. And like I said before, yeah, they've messed up some storylines here, they've messed up the builds and stuff like that. But it is what it is. We're all excited for WrestleMania. We're all gonna watch both nights. Um, well, yeah, my wife's shaking her head. She's not watching both nights, um, but yeah,
She's a casual.
yeah, she's a casual.
What does it say about
So,
the rest of the casuals?
I mean, she'll sit here and watch with me, but she won't pay attention unless something big happens. But like for instance, the Hall of Fame, it's at 1:00 in the morning on a Friday, which is crazy. I don't know is the time zone different in Las Vegas?
Well, yeah, it's Pacific time, so it's
Okay,
like 10,
that's why.
It's 10 Pacific, 1 a.m.
Okay,
Eastern
so that's
time.
why. So, but like just in general, like I don't know how to put this to like end this, but like we just need to get over ourselves and enjoy the product,
Shut up and enjoy it, in other words.
WWE is doing hell of a lot better than AEW right now.
Oh,
So
I had to make this about AEW.
Hey, I'm just putting it out there because let me ask you this, Aaron, because this is your job, right?
Okay.
Would you be watching I mean, obviously, you wouldn't be watching AEW because who the hell would?
Whoa.
But would you be watching if you were a fan like you are now, but not doing this as your job? Would you be watching WWE the way that WrestleMania is built, the way the build for WrestleMania is this year?
I would watch the PLEs and I would watch Raw and SmackDown on YouTube. Watch the YouTube clips. I would not watch the 3-hour shows. That's for damn sure. And I'd probably watch Raw if it was heavily hyped and there were some big storylines going on. But week to week, I'd be watching the YouTube clips. That's as much as I would follow.
Okay. I'm just, I don't know. I just needed to like get this off my chest because, like I said, yesterday when you posted yesterday, the go home show wasn't as great as last year. I was like, yeah, because The Rock's not on there, and everybody just needs to stop compare. Like I said, everybody's entitled to their own opinion, but people just need to stop relying on The Rock.
Well, right, and I agree. You do not need The Rock. They should not need The Rock, but I think that they need to figure out how to make it as compelling without The Rock. They shouldn't need him. That's
understood.
Very true.
And like I said, I think I said this on predictions night 1 or yesterday when we did predictions, or whenever we did predictions for night 2. But I think Cena could have done this heel turn without The Rock. Go back to the Royal Rumble. He cut that great promo after the show saying that he's entitled, that he deserves to be in the Elimination Chamber. That right there seemed kind of heelish for me. That didn't seem like John Cena. Then you go to Elimination Chamber. CM Punk gets curb stomped by Seth Rollins. John Cena takes advantage. CM Punk did not tap out. He passed out. That seemed kind of heelish from John Cena. I think John Cena could have done this whole heel turn without The Rock being there, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, Virtue's calling you out. First of all, Virtue thinks you're going to turn on WWE like you did AEW. And he also said that
hold on.
Rock is invested with Cody, and The Rock, people that want The Rock to get a match with Cody have the right to want that after what they booked last year.
That's fine. Everybody's entitled to their opinion. But what's going to happen when The Rock, we talked about this before on the review, they need to build newer stars, but like, God forbid The Rock passes away or The Rock decides to fully retire from wrestling. Are you gonna what's he saying? We'll be right back. Up that Rock saying, yeah. No. I'm over The Rock at this point.
Whoa, okay. Well, I think that
and no Virtue, my opinion does not suck. I'm entitled to my own opinion, as are you.
Damn, that's a pipe bomb right there. But I think I think there's money they're leaving on the table if they don't do The Rock versus Cody, but they're running out of time. The older Rock gets, the less likely it's going to happen.
And to me,
Virtue, you can
I
cry
don't
me a
even
river.
I don't care about The Rock right now. Cena could have made this build so much better by being there the last couple weeks too. You know what I mean? Could have made it a lot more intriguing. We don't even need The Rock. This is Cena going for 17 against Cody. I don't care what The Rock's doing. You know what I mean? So they dropped the ball on that end. Ticket prices. I saw a little bit ago that WWE has lowered a lot of ticket prices leading up until Saturday, but the prices keep going up, and this is the first WrestleMania of the Netflix era, which all ticket prices have gone up even more since that merger. I mean, you know, $350 a piece for decent seats at the arena in Cleveland for a Raw, and what, 700 for nosebleeds at Mania. So it's not just that, but I don't know. Nice takes there, G. Get all razzle dazzled. But Walter, what's your opinion on this, sir?
I feel like this WWE is building an excuse within how they building it. Because if they underhype and over deliver, everybody's gonna be like, "Oh my God, it's the best thing ever." They did so good, even though the build wasn't the greatest thing. And if it sucks, well, they kind of already didn't build it to be the greatest. They didn't name it to be the biggest WrestleMania, the greatest thing ever. They didn't do the biggest build, so it's like a built-in excuse already. It's kind of like cutting stuff on both ends. So I just feel like they did this like strategically. They are not building it as well so that your expectations aren't low, and then so they are low, and then they're gonna over deliver. Like I feel like this is the first WrestleMania that isn't built on having a bunch of legends pop up here, legends pop up there. Like they're trying to elevate, with the exception of like Cena and The Rock's kind of involvement in that whole thing. They're really focusing on the now generation. Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte. I mean, Roman's been there for a while, but Roman, Seth, they got Punk back. I know Punk's been there a while but he just came back. It's like they focusing on this generation as opposed to keep digging in the past, which I feel like a lot of WrestleManias kept doing that. Kept having to bring Undertaker for his match, even though he should have been retired. And that coming from me, who's the biggest Undertaker fan. That was my favorite wrestler ever. Like they kept having to try to soup up Stone Cold coming back. Like, oh, who's gonna come? They kept doing that. Now it's like this generation, like let's not focus on the legends. And I feel like some people, it might be a letdown to some people. So I just feel like they're purposely underselling it so they could try to over deliver on Mania so that they can see, like, see, we told you WWE is the shit. Like basically, I feel like a strategic ploy like by them.
Yeah, yes and no. I mean, I'm don't get me wrong, I'm pumped that there's really not a whole lot of veterans advertised for this because, the same old shtick gets old after a while. You know what I mean? And it'd just be nice to have a little bit of a curveball. If they're gonna save that stuff, save it for the Raw after Mania. Save it for the SmackDown after Mania, where you want your views to be. Get those ratings up and make those, make them happy. Everyone's gonna watch WrestleMania, but not everyone's gonna watch the Raw or SmackDown afterwards. So you want to give, those, cues and things like that. Make it like it was when we were kids. I mean, half the time the Raw after Mania was better than Mania itself. It felt, you know what I mean? It was more jam packed. It was a 2 hour show. It was, boom, boom, boom. So, um, but yeah, I definitely agree with you on a lot of things there, Walter. But again, thanks for being here, and we're going to pass the puck over to Matthew.
Well, I mean, I'm kind of in agreement with both Big G and Walter. One thing is this was never going to be the build of the last couple manias. We had the bloodline story that dominated everything. That's pretty much done. Cody, finished the story. So this year, we haven't really had that big overarching story until we got to, what's going on with the triple threat. How Heyman is now intertwined between Seth, Roman and Punk. I think also what hurt is a lot of people were looking forward to Orton and KO, and losing KO has really deflated a lot of people. And, we don't even know what Orton is doing this year. The fact that we crowned two new women's an IC and a women's US title, and they're not even having a match. Lyra's having a tag match. The SmackDown tag scene, which is actually far better than Raw, isn't even having a match. Which, again, we were expecting a multi-man ladder match. And I do think multi-man mania, as I've kind of dubbed it, is hurting a bit. But I am hopeful that things will play out. And I do agree a lot of it is, again, also the prices. This is Vegas. Everything's expensive. Now, hopefully WWE and TKO are paying attention to that, because you can't expect these prices everywhere. I was a little on the fence of even going to Saturday night's main event in May, but I managed to get tickets. I'm in like row section 200, and I'm paying like $150 for my ticket. So I'm in a pretty good seat. And that's one of the only reasons I'm going is because of that, because otherwise I wasn't going to go if I was going to pay $300, $400 and be in nosebleed. But I'm trying to be on the hopeful side that, in the end, everything will deliver. But yeah, this was never going to have the build up. It was never going to have the pageantry of the last two Rumbles or last two Manias, because there's no Cody story, defeating the big bad Roman. I do wonder Rock's involvement. I think he will be there, because why else has he been teasing things? But like you said also, Cena should have been here the last couple weeks. They've really got to do something special Friday between Cody and Cena to make us even more excited for that match. But overall, I think I'm okay with everything. Again, not a fan of Charlotte, which I think that hurts things too, because I think a lot of us are still on the fence that Charlotte's going to, not put Tiffany over, and a lot of people don't want to see that either. And they made me care about Jay and Gunther. Sure, it might not main event like it should, but a lot of wrestlers have said, if you're not going to main event, you want to open the show. You want to have the most energy. You want to set the standard for the rest of the show going forward. And I think I'm betting that's probably what Gunther and Jay are going to do. And, we're going to get 60,000 people yeeting for the first, 30 minutes or whatever of the show. And I think that will help the energy overall.
No, without a doubt, that's got to be the match that opens WrestleMania. But, it just, I feel bad for champions. And, especially we have all these champions that aren't going to be on the show too, which especially now that it's two nights, like couldn't get them on, the SmackDown before either, or, you know, throw them over to NXT. They got their own things, but shit, show up and do an open challenge, or, you know, I don't know. There's too many variables with um, what we're used to and what the new regime wants to do, and they could have fixed that real easy with a couple things. Like I said, Cena being there, um, again, pushes that whole thing to the next level. Brought this part of Jey Uso out earlier in Gunther, or Gunther bringing this part of himself out earlier and making it more interesting instead of us sitting here since January, like twiddling our thumbs, like nobody wants to see this match. So I don't know. I really, really hope to be just blown away and like, why did I waste my time talking about this or something, come Saturday or Sunday. But I want to hear what Gino's got to say on the subject.
Thank you very much, Cleaver. Guys, great job all around. Big G, like you said, we all are entitled to our opinion. You've got people out there who aren't happy. You are people who are happy for all different reasons. I think going back to the original question, though, about like, is this even WrestleMania season because of the build, right? We're talking here about the build into WrestleMania. WrestleMania could be an all-time show. It's not looking that way right now based on the build. And I feel like this kind of comes down to the thing that Triple H said that we've brought up on the show numerous times. He has an end game, and then he works, and then he just fills in along the way. And it never really has it felt more evident than like right now, right? Like, okay, yeah, so we're going to have Cody versus heel Cena. We're going to have Rollins and Reigns and Punk in a triple threat. Like, if he's got theoretically, he's got all these matches of what he wants the card to look like already played out, and then he's trying to make it make sense leading up to it. That's, I mean, I'm not a novelist. I'm not a TV writer, but that can't be how you write compelling television and build up to a climax that is supposed to be WrestleMania. This is in Las Vegas. It should feel like a spectacle. Cleaver, you said it, the feeling that we have, like, it doesn't feel like Christmas is right around the corner. We're about to wake up to all these presents in the weekend. It just feels like it's just another WrestleMania. And then I go back to last year was 40. When they hit the 20, the 30, the 40 marks on these events, they really do kind of go all out to the point where like WWE could like almost end after those shows. And like, it's like the ending season of a TV show or the series finale of a show. And then it's like, well, it did so well, let's renew you for another season. And we don't really have a good enough story, but we have to deliver some type of content. And 11, 21 was okay. 31, we know how we guys are feeling about that. So it kind of falls into this trap as not just by definition, not being as important as the last year. Then I want to address the build. We have one of the most shocking or not shocking, depending on if you called it or not, one of the most impactful or not impactful, one of the most important things to kind of happen in wrestling with Cena heel turn. And then he disappears. The whole reasoning behind his heel turn is still kind of like up in the air. Oh, you guys have been booing me. Blah, 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 this, blah, 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 that. Obviously, I'm a Cena guy, but I'm going to speak from my heart here. Like, people have been cheering him since 2018. Everybody's wanted him to get 17. Nobody was booing him. We might be, I wasn't, but people might be singing John Cena sucks to his theme song, like out of endearment, out of appreciating seeing him. And now it's just like, I'm mad at you guys for what you did like 15, 10 years ago. Like, I'm going to take this out on you now and team up with somebody, or not even. I'm just going to let this whole Cody's going to sell his soul thing. We're going to put Cena in there because Cody's going to tell like I was listening to a Triple H interview and he kind of talked about that. Whether or not that we see The Rock, whether or not we need The Rock, I mean, if he kind of like Big E just did his part to influence this heel turn and go away, whatever. But people are expecting to see The Rock. He's showing up. It's not making sense. He's going away. He's showing back up, giving us hope, kind of taking it away. That doesn't lead to things are building on top of each other, one after another. It's like this happens, then this happens. Whereas it should be, this is happening, therefore this happens. And it just feels like that's the storytelling just isn't there. There's really, Cena hasn't even really addressed The Rock. Cody's mentioned it a few times. We have no mention of Travis Scott. I'd be fine if we don't get any, but like he was involved in that. That was like a big deal. So like, it feels like they're just trying to, they're not, just call it like it is. They're not as good at promoting as Vince was. They're just not. Is Triple H doing really good with creative? Absolutely. Is he giving us things that we want to see and still swerving us? Absolutely. I don't take nothing away from that. Is this his first WrestleMania attempt? Fully? Yeah. 2-3 years down the line, if it keeps this continuing, Triple H can't book it. We've had a few years of him booking Rumbles, and it's like lackluster kind of comes to my mind. It's mentioned, you guys mentioned, not wanting a bunch of legends and do wanting legends and all this stuff. Like, this is WrestleMania season. The reason it doesn't feel like that is because on any given show, the main stars and the main events and the main matches aren't there. The crowds are chanting for people that aren't going to show up to make them happy. And they're charging all this money on tickets. It's not fair. People are mentioning, well, forget about Easter and it's 420, whatever. Like that could be influencing. No, nobody's going into this weekend that's going to watch it on television and be like, oh no, it's Easter. They're going to be like, oh no, it's Easter and I get WrestleMania and potential other holiday, whatever. Like if you're not going to like the event because you have to worry about Easter and stuff, that feels like it just doesn't feel like that's right. So all of these things are coming into play. There's just a lack of anticipation, a lack of that looking forward to waking up in the morning to unbox and see what Papa H has for us. But I do feel like, I think it was you, Matthew, you mentioned it might have to pull an AEW. I feel like the matches are going to be bangers. I feel like we're going to enjoy, we're not going to want to like be fast forwarding if you don't catch it live or whatever with these matches. I feel like we're going to get quality wrestling built off of maybe not the most quality storytelling. AEW. I'm still looking forward to it. The Cena versus Cody, it just all could be done so much better. I'm still going to watch it. We're also going to watch it. We're also probably going to enjoy the outcomes and speculate on where the story's going to go. But the lack of a good promoter and the lack of basic through line storytelling to build anticipation to a climax, it's just not as strong as it was last year. It just wasn't.
Yep.
No, I absolutely agree with you, Gino. And also the music is just garbage. Like what is this? Like what
I hate it.
disgusting. Especially with all their great, video packaging, editing and their promotions, promotional people worldwide, and this is what we're getting the build up to, and this is what music we're getting. So
Sorry, I know I just finished, but that just reminded me of one last thing. It feels like the build to this entire WrestleMania is just based on getting snippets to put in the promo packages, which most people don't even see because they have the commercials. I'm done.
before I toss over to Aaron G, you had your hand up for a sec.
Yeah, real quick. So, do you think that another problem is that they stretched it out too long? They had the Rumble at the beginning of February, the Elimination Chamber, and now because we're still used to having WrestleMania at the beginning of April, we're having WrestleMania in the middle of April.
Yep.
So do you think that's a problem too? Because they had
Yes.
to stretch out the build from February to mid-April. That's a long stretch. And that's, like I said before, we're not bookers, we're not writers, we're not producers. But you got to think about how much, they got to write all this stuff and then they got to edit it and rewrite it and rewrite it and rewrite it. So I think next year they need to go back to the Rumble in January, Elimination Chamber in February, WrestleMania at the beginning of April. But whatever that first weekend is in April, like they do every year. So I just wanted to throw that out before Aaron got to the 6 super chats.
Right. We got some super chats here. Well said, everybody. Gino, from the heart thoughts on that. And everybody provided some good commentary on this. And I'll just say this before we get to the super chats. As lackluster as the build has been, I think Mr. Tito really said it best. I'll take 2025 WWE over 2019, 2020, 2021, the end of the Vince era. I would gladly take today's WWE over that. And that leads me to the main topic of this video. Is WWE at the start of a decline? I don't know if it's going to start at WrestleMania or not. As mentioned, I think the wrestling will deliver and it will be a really good show, maybe even a great show. I thought WrestleMania 31 and WrestleMania 21 were very enjoyable WrestleManias. I went to both of those. They did deliver. And I think there's a solid chance this WrestleMania will deliver. I think the real key is, what do they have post WrestleMania to keep people invested? We had Cody becoming WWE champion, so you wanted to see the fallout from that. And you had a lot of hot acts last year, and you still have hot acts now, but eventually characters cool off, storylines cool off, and wrestling has its ups and downs. We've seen WWE go through boom periods and then they cool off. Is this the start of that? I think it really depends on what they have post WrestleMania. What do they have planned for John Cena? Will he be the heel champion, or is he going to go back and turn babyface right away? What do they have going with him? What is going to happen with CM Punk and this whole storyline with Roman Reigns? Is Roman Reigns disappearing again? I do agree about the gap between shows. That definitely hurts the build-up for WrestleMania. I think AEW has the same problem when they go 6, 7, 8 weeks between pay-per-views. They tend to move at a very slow pace. I think the European shows, as entertaining as they were, may have hurt the build a little bit. I've had people tell me that they couldn't watch those shows live because they had work. And guess what? They didn't have enough motivation to watch the shows on demand. They basically just didn't watch the shows. And if you're not watching the shows, then you aren't invested and you lose interest. So it's just a matter of getting those people hooked again. You got WrestleMania. People are going to tune in because of the fact that it's WrestleMania. They really need to deliver a great show. If WrestleMania is a bomb and it falls flat, this could be the beginning of a downturn. I mean, WrestleMania 17 was one of the best WWE pay-per-views of all time, but you had the Steve Austin heel turn, and business took a hit after that. So we'll see what they come up with. We do have a bunch of super chats here, so thank you, everyone. Psycho Jet Black is here, so we definitely need to get to these. Be honest, what is your bathroom break match? Well, here's the thing. They have such long breaks between matches, you don't really need a bathroom break match. You can go during one of the video packages. If I had to pick one, though, probably the women's tag team title match. Anybody have their pick for a bathroom break match? Walter, you got one? Or Big G?
Yeah, Charlotte and Tiffany.
Whoa! All right.
No, I think you're right with the women's tag match.
Yeah, it's just a waste of a time match, honestly.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Well,
that's
when I went to the Royal Rumble, my bathroom break was right after the Rumble match, although that's a bad time to go. And then when I came back, they were still doing the entrances for the tag match, so I actually didn't really miss anything. Matthew?
To be honest,
Go ahead, Walter.
yeah. To be honest, I would go to a bathroom when there's not a bathroom match, because then you're waiting in the line for too damn long because everybody has the same idea.
Right, yeah. Sometimes you have to sacrifice and go during a good match if you don't want to wait in the long lines. And it was crazy at the Rumble in Indianapolis. Big G?
I don't say last year. I didn't go to. I went to the bathroom before Mania, and I sat in my seat the whole entire time.
I'd have to say probably the New Day Viking Raiders match, just because the build. There's no build. They should have did this right after Big E turned, and that goes into what was talking about. This build should have been done, months ago, or they should have done the heel turn as we got closer to Mania instead of doing it November, and now we're just finally doing something with the New Day as their heels. And
Well,
I think
Big E might be there before the panel, so they might
Yeah.
involve it still.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only way I hope that it happens is that the Big E's got to be involved either after the match or during the match or something. But yeah, right now that's probably the match I'm looking forward to the least. That's
Fair
my
enough.
bathroom break match.
Fair enough. Jamster126 sent in a €5 super chat. Thank you for that, Jamster. Says, the stage may be well put together. Shame the actual match card wasn't. Most matches feel thrown together last minute weird booking decisions. I mean, I agree with that to a point. I mean, some of these matches definitely feel like they were thrown together. Not as bad as the AEW Dynasty matches. I hate to knock AEW, but I feel like most of them were. But as Matthew just said, like I feel like they could have done more with the New Day War Raiders storyline and push New Day stronger and set up this WrestleMania match. Like it's just all of a sudden they do the match on TV. It's a DQ, and then they set up a rematch. It's lazy, you know. They could have put more into it for WrestleMania. Go ahead, Gino.
They're still gonna throw in one more random one because Randy Orton doesn't have an opponent.
Oh yeah, that too. Well, that's not WWE's fault though. Can't blame them on that. Okay, go ahead, Gino.
Yeah. So. Yeah, Walter. I am looking forward to potentially Randy and who he's going to face. You know, it stinks that KO got hurt for sure, but one match isn't going to make or break a lot of what we have going on. Now, as far as like what happened with the turn and all this stuff, it just doesn't feel like you guys said, there's not a lot of, it doesn't feel like a lot of thought is going into this. I'm sure everybody's working a lot of hours doing this stuff, but it's just it feels like they're just waiting for Mania to happen before they want to start making these big choices. You guys mentioned the European tour, how it really hampered, it put a damper on things, even though the crowds were electric. I mean, they're going to be electric. They don't get a lot of live television shows, so of course they're going to be grateful and try and give them a reason to come back. It's just, it's very, it's just odd, but it could lead us to a great all-time card. We might be like, oh my God, every match was great from start to finish and we had fun watching it. So I'm still holding out that hope as a fan, but this build is just leaves a lot to be desired.
Go ahead, Walter.
For the New Day, they never even paid off Cross's involvement. He just kind of moved on to AJ Styles. Like, what the hell happened to the Cross? Should have been like, I told you. But still, he's still there. And then he just like randomly moved on to AJ, and AJ's dealing with Logan. So like, thank goodness they didn't make that a triple threat match too. This is like triple mania. Everything's multi-person mania.
And they were teasing AJ versus Braun Breaker, and that went nowhere. Yeah, very weird. Yeah, I mean, I think they had to change some things, especially with The Rock not committing to WrestleMania. You know, they had to go with some backup plans, and maybe that's part of the reason why it doesn't feel as well thought out as it could have been. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Psycho. Says it could be worse. Vince McMahon could be booking right now. I mean, that's very true. Like, I know Vince deserves a lot of credit, but like I said, I would take WWE right now over the last 5 years, if not 10 years of the Vince McMahon regime, maybe even more than that. Like I as much as I complain, and I don't really complain all that much, but I do have my criticisms. I still think it's a pretty solid product overall with Triple H. You know, there's more good than bad. With Vince, there were times I was just, if it was not my job, I'd be totally done. I think I wouldn't even watch wrestling like during that 2019 period. I was just every Monday was a chore to watch. You know, it was tough. Hamp sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Hamp. Appreciate it. Says, if management really believes that they are giving us the best possible product possible after what they've given us lately, they all deserve to be fired. Well, Hamp, it's easy for us to say that when we're not writing the shows. Like it's a lot. You have to put together 5 to 6 weeks of, or 5 to 6 hours of television every single week. And you always have to be coming up with new content, and it's easier said than done. You know, you can sit here at home and talk about it, and they should be doing this, they should be doing that, but it's a lot of work. Look at that WrestleMania 9 documentary, the worst WrestleMania of all time, arguably, and they had to put a lot of work into that. You know, that wasn't an easy event to book and set up production wise, and just every aspect of it. It was, great undertaking. All right, Gino first, and then Walter. Go ahead, Gino.
Yeah. So I've mentioned this before a few times on the review, but not like letting the New Day, or again, we were talking about the New Day, go out and have them live microphones so they can get booed out of the building is ridiculous. Let's just do another backstage interview where the crowd doesn't even get to boo them and they get to just look at Kathy Kelly or whomever like with disgust. Like, you mean to tell me that they couldn't go out there and fight against the boo birds to do that? Like, I've mentioned that with LA Knight, I mentioned that with Dom. I mean, but unless they're not giving Dom a microphone to have him potentially be a face, that makes sense. It just feels like they're like, well, let's try and make it more like feel real by being like a live sport, and then they're doing things like cutting the commercials or ending the Netflix episode of Raw in the middle of a bunch of stuff, and it probably didn't just all walk away. They probably did something for the live crowd or whatever, but like, you have essentially unlimited time. You've already got your half hour back essentially on the writing of television, and you're still ending in the middle of what people actually want to watch. They think that this is a way to build to, well, now they have to watch the pay-per-view. Like, you're not trying to get buy rates because people who are watching this have Peacock already. Like, make us feel like we want to watch it while giving us a complete go-home show or a complete segment. Like, stop with this half a segment. Oh, you're going to have to tune in next week. They did it on SmackDown a week or two ago. They're doing it on Raw. Like, that's not how you do cliffhangers.
Yeah.
That's like, that makes people mad. So, yeah.
I'm with you on that. I completely agree. Walter, anything you wanted to add to that?
I wanted to add to your point that
Okay, go ahead.
it's not easy writing and everything, and it was even worse when Vince was in charge because he was known to rip stuff up the same night. So you did
Yeah.
all that hard work just to have last minute changes the same night of. So, like, I don't envy any of the WWE writers. Like, they have a tough job. Let's not like jump on them because they're better men and women than I could ever be, because I'm not. You couldn't pay me enough to do that, to deal with that stress.
Yeah. And by the way, Triple H did that interview, and some people didn't like it, where he said that he doesn't go by what the internet says. They're a very small part of the audience. And I do understand his point of view. Like, you really have to listen first and foremost to your people that buy tickets and show up to the arenas. Those are the fans that are spending money on the product, buying the merchandise, so on and so forth. Those are your fans, your customers. You have to listen to the live audiences first, but also I think that there are people that can provide constructive feedback, and I think you do need to listen to the internet, because that, even if it's a smaller sample, it can still represent what the majority is thinking. It's important to not ignore them, and I feel it was a little bit hypocritical of him to say that when they've pivoted because of the internet over the years. When
You had
people
to.
got upset, the live crowd. Here's the thing: when The Rock and Roman Reigns was set up last year, and Cody gave up his spot, that live crowd was buzzing. They were into The Rock and Roman Reigns when they had that stare down. It was the internet that crapped on that segment. So they were going by the internet on that. It was a little hypocritical for Triple H to say
You
that, but I get it. I get his overall sentiment. Like, you gotta focus on the live crowds for the most part.
It's about finding a balance, and it's hard because you're never gonna satisfy the IWC. They're never gonna be happy, even if you give them what they want. They'll find something to complain about. So it's a thin line to be on.
Right. We got some more super chats here, so let's get to those. Speaking of The Rock, Psycho Jet Black says, does WWE and The Rock really need each other? I don't think so. WWE is doing great. They were doing great before The Rock came back last year. The Rock's obviously doing great. He's the highest paid actor in the world. The Rock can enhance WWE, though. Last year was better because The Rock was there. He definitely added something. He did the heel turn, and that was great. That was very compelling television. And yeah, it's hard to recreate that, but you should be able to come up with some good stuff, regardless of whether The Rock is there or not. I think that's the real key. Like, you should still be able to deliver something that's worthy of being WrestleMania. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat, says, in hindsight, John Cena should have won the Royal Rumble. I mean, what do you guys think of this? Like, I don't necessarily think he needed to win the Rumble, but the fact that Jey Uso was not in the main event, we've had this discussion before. I don't necessarily think it's a bad thing that Cena won Elimination Chamber. Gino?
Well, if Cena had won the Rumble, then they couldn't have sold him. They couldn't have promoted him being in the Elimination Chamber. And, again, they're not thinking forward. They're thinking end game and working backwards. Like, it's so evident. Like, I wish he didn't tell me that because maybe I wouldn't see it. But Cena's going to be in the main event against the champion he was always going to be facing. So winning the Royal Rumble, I think, would have been better. But if you still wanted Jey versus Gunther, you could. I mean, he's lost to him three times. I don't know how you could realistically get them to be in a match at WrestleMania unless he had won the Rumble or the Elimination Chamber, which he wasn't going to win with that. So it's like maybe they shouldn't have wanted Jey Uso to go against Gunther. I think that's the biggest mistake over who won the Royal Rumble personally. So
I think Big G had his hand up first, and then we'll get to Walter. Go ahead, Big G.
So let's go back to 2019. Seth Rollins wins the Royal Rumble. Who does he face in the opening match for the Universal title? Brock Lesnar. Go back to when Sheamus won the Rumble at 2012. He won the Rumble and opened WrestleMania. So it's not necessarily, we've talked about it. They should say the main eventer, whoever wins the Rumble should main event WrestleMania, but maybe they need to change their wording on, they have their secured championship match at Mania, but, and then going to John Cena win the Rumble. We've said this before. I've said this before. If John Cena would have won, people complain all the time that we get multiple Rumble winners or we get somebody that's already won the Rumble. We want somebody fresh. They put Jey Uso in there and everybody complained. But like I said before, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Apparently it's a virtue. Opinions are like assholes. So what the hell do I know? I'm just a stupid mark. And, let me see. What else can I talk? How else can I degrade myself for virtue? I don't know. I'm a piece of shit too. There you go, virtue.
What are you, Vader now? If you know what that reference is.
He's trying to do the Cody Rhodes promo where he said everything John Cena would have said about him to ruin it.
Walter, anything you want to add?
I was just because Cena couldn't have won the Rumble. Then he wouldn't have turned heel. What would have been the point? The point of him going heel is because it was the last ditch effort to get what he wanted because he lost the Rumble. That's why he couldn't have won the Royal Rumble. And like Big G just said, if he won the Royal Rumble, the other half of the people would have complained and cried that he won. Like, oh, he's coming back just to do that and take the main event. And I feel like the Rumble, what G just said, just change the wording. Just say the person who wins the Rumble gets a title shot. Don't say main event anymore.
Yep. We've said that. Matthew and then Gino. Go ahead, Matthew.
I think another problem is if Cena would have won the Rumble, everybody would have complained that how predictable it was because we already knew Charlotte was winning the Rumble. And then this would have been the 2022 Rumble all over again where Ronda and Brock won the Rumble and we all could see it, from the, a blind man could have seen that. So they kind of were, they had to give us something. They had to surprise us with someone winning that no one expected. And, Jey has proven, I was on the fence on this feud too, but the last couple of weeks have shown that Jey and Gunther are going to beat the holy hell out of each other and they're going to make it interesting. And like Walter said, how would Cena have turned heel at the Rumble? I like how they did it with the Elimination Chamber because it added this weird suspense. We got the emotion. We got we could have did without Travis Scott, but it was so well done that we wouldn't have gotten that moment. And that's all people really remember from the Elimination Chamber. And of course, remember, that's the one thing about wrestling. You're always going to remember that main event, usually. You're going to remember those big moments. And that's what we're remembering. They just got to capitalize on it. And, I'm being hopeful that they will.
All right, Gino, go ahead.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, right? Cena had already won the Elimination Chamber, so it he didn't need The Rock's help to win that event. So he was already getting his title shot. So like he didn't really even have a need to turn heel. And then it was predicated on The Rock wanting his champion, and Cena comes out and doesn't even mention any of that, right? So at least if they had done a better job building and explaining, like we still have like zero explanation other than, oh, you guys were mean to me, like so I kicked your chair. Like it what they're telling us after doesn't really add up to what we got. What we got was epic, an all-time heel turn, but it's like they're not paying it off with proper explanations. Like he's just out there faking being happy for him until The Rock tells him to turn, like he's some Winter Soldier like assassin or something. Like I'd rather it be something like that. Yeah, The Rock's had me brainwashed since he beat me in 2012 or something like that. Like whatever. Like we're just not getting an explanation, and that's I love Cena, but it's because he's not there. And I fear that we wouldn't have had any Cena until this Friday if they didn't go over to Europe, because that's where he was filming. Like I really believe that this is like they're not thinking a lot of this through. Like not even video packages. Like I'm not on the set of a movie or a TV show, but how hard is it for him to get in front of a laptop or a cell phone and record something to send in? They've been giving us Kevin Owens cell phone videos for months, right? Like I don't know. It just feels like they were withholding them going face to face and actually talking to each other. They give us one day of them talking to each other, and then, well, you'll see me on Friday. So it's not so much that the turn and who won the Rumble and all that stuff. It's just they're giving us cool stuff, but then they're not paying it off. They could have made Jay feel like he is worthy of the spot. They could have been doing all this stuff, and it feels like now they're just rushing, but also taking it slow. I don't know if that even makes any sense, but it's. I really think that the ultimate reason is the distance and the amount of time between the PLEs to build it up to WrestleMania. They had their build. They could have condensed it to 4 weeks, and it would have been. We probably would all be feeling a lot better about it.
Well said. I'm with you on that. Let's move on. We got another super chat here from MJ. The Dark Horse says, "What if the opening match was Jey Uso turning heel and joining The Rock?" I mean, Jay's not turning. He's way too over. The merchandise is through the roof. There's pretty much zero chance that Jay turns heel. I don't think that that's even in the realm of possibility. But, I mean, there could be a swerve, not necessarily with Jay, but maybe somebody else potentially joins The Rock or joins John Cena if The Rock is not there. And that leads me to this other super chat from Building Nexus. What WrestleMania swerves would make people most excited about the future? You got something, Colin? You got an idea?
Yes. So this kind of translates into the main event that I wanted to do tonight. But what if Paul Heyman's really working for The Rock? What if Paul Heyman's got a Dwayne phone? You know what I mean? And at the end of this pay-per-view, we have Seth Rollins align himself with Cena and the returning Becky Lynch, but more of like in a Rebecca mode, not this whatever last heel turn we got when she showed up at SummerSlam a couple years ago. A completely different, we were the ones who carried this place and we were the ones that have been overcasted and overshadowed for, how long now and this, that, and the other. I think that would be a huge, huge swerve into it because, we know how Seth feels about The Rock, how he said things in the past of how he's just here to make a paycheck and that's it, and this, that, and the other. I think that something like that would be really, really neat. Or even Heyman aligning back with Brock making his WWE return, because that opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
It does between the other three competitors in that triple threat. I mean, it works either way. So those are a couple things that I'd like to see.
All right. Well, we got some hands. Matthew, we'll go with you, Gino, and then Walter.
Well, I like Colin's idea, but I know I mentioned it during the prediction. I think Drew being the third man because of just everything that's been going on, Drew constantly getting screwed over. And then, people mentioned he was doing this, bloodline hunter kind of storyline and it fell flat. But what if he got told to hold off because he's now siding with The Rock and he could end up being, some sort of third man like that. And, that could lead to something. But yeah, besides that, I really don't know what other big swerve we could get unless, you know, maybe. I think the only other thing I think people might find the swerve is it's revealed that Bianca was the big boss, and her and Naomi both beat down Jade or something during Jade's match or something. But I don't really know what other swerves we could get. But yeah, I think Drew needs something big. And then somebody also pointed out. Remember, The Rock gave Drew that sword when he got the new contract signing. So there's that there too.
Yes.
So this could be something that has been planned for a while. Going back to, The Rock claiming he's, 5 steps ahead, 10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
So that's what I would go with.
All right, Gino, anything you would like to add to that? Go ahead.
Yeah, so just to go back to the super chat, just some things that came to my mind when you read it. I think that would make me excited for the future. Alexa Bliss interfering in either women's title match. I think Brock coming back and agreeing to be full time for the next year with Heyman would get me really excited about the future. I think that if they give us an Orton match against, say, Obafemi, and he squashes Orton, I would be really excited about the future for that. As well as maybe Drew doing like a face turn and maybe either helping Cody or going out and helping Seth beat Punk again, something like that. Because I'll be honest, the Drew versus Punk stuff was not getting old to me. I was loving every second of it. The memes alone, the internet presence that Drew had alone he's cooled off since then. I think that those few things could really help me be like, okay, all right, WrestleMania 41. I'm sorry I was doubting you. Now we back on the highway again.
All right, Walter, anything you would like to add?
Yeah, Lesnar coming out, F5ing all 3 of them, and just leaving with Heyman. That'd be enough for me. It like since the fight is over, Heyman, like and then Heyman just leaves with him because that's the original. I feel like a swerve that would be the funniest to me is if Americano gets unmasked and it's not Chad, and then like another one comes from behind him and like rolls up Rey Mysterio, and we know that that's Chad, but like he puts a body double in there or something. That would be the big hilarious swerve to me, and it's funny because like now he got unmasked and it's really not Chad, and I feel like that would be the funniest thing ever.
Yeah, can they find a guy that's very similar to Chad and build and make that work? That would be awesome. Big G.
Richard's gonna hate me for this one. He might kick me off the review. Brock, Cena, and Rock just need to retire and go to the farm already.
Oh, geez. Ouch. Listen, as far as swerves go, like I would love to see somebody we're not expecting help John Cena win the title. Not a Jey Uso, but somebody that could form a group with John Cena, like an actual faction, maybe like a new 2-man power trip or something like that. When Hogan turned, we had the NWO, and when Austin turned, he was with Triple H. Something like that I think would interest people post WrestleMania. Walter.
What if they used one of the new bloodline people that they signed and didn't debut, like Hikuleo or something? Like, hey, look, The Rock had him in the back pocket the whole time. Somebody like that, or bring back Rusev or somebody you signed already, right? You want to make them a big deal. This is why we signed them. You involve them in that main event. Rusev would be the biggest thing ever.
You could imagine Rusev and John Cena together after their history. That would be interesting. Matt sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you, Matt. Says, should have been Ninja Omos versus Cody, not John Cena. Where is Omos, by the way? He hasn't been around in forever. Like he was in Japan, and then they brought him back and did nothing with him.
They relinquished that title, which I thought that he should have brought the title to the Rumble or something. They had the chance. I don't know what happened, but It didn't happen. And the thing I said previous, Rusev and Cena together, and then they leave in a tank. Book it, Triple H. You got to have them both leave in a tank if they're together.
There you go. Bring back the tank. I mean, that would be very entertaining. And people are saying Ryback. No, not Ryback, not Alex Riley. Yeah, Cleaver, go ahead.
Well, what about Jeff Cobb? You know what I mean? What if he? Because I know The Rock posted that uh, picture with the New Japan shirt, this, that, and the other, and Jeff Cobb reportedly has signed with WWE. Um, what if Jeff Cobb is one of The Rock's guys? That could be like the Randy Orton of the group. You know what
Nobody
I'm
really
saying?
knows him though. That's the problem.
But you know but he does have a name. He does have a good he's a powerhouse. Uh, But I'm just throwing things out there. We're talking
Yeah.
about like a bloodline guy that hasn't debuted yet. It's not going to be Hikuleo. He's already supposed to come to NXT this like late spring, early summer, and have a hell of a run from what I've seen. But they could swerve us, but nobody knows who Hikuleo is either. So
Yeah. Gino, you want to add something?
Yeah. Walter had mentioned Triple H before he disappeared. Another thing that could potentially be interesting. Obviously, it's his Hall of Fame induction. We haven't heard anything about his health other than we expect him never to wrestle again, which is why he's going to the Hall of Fame. Imagine his music hits during the main event of night 2, and we're thinking he's going to come out and stop like the Steel against Cody or something like that, and he hits Cody with a pedigree or something like that. You could even do something like that in the night 1. That's just wild speculation, but I would be very excited for what the next night on Raw would be showing. Also, if Big E is secretly healthy and good to go, and like his music hits like after the New Day match or something like that, and he comes out with a tag team partner, like maybe Cobb, I don't know. I feel like that could drive. Like I think that I know I would be really excited because like he comes out in his gear, he's like maybe even takes off the fake neck brace or whatever, throws it down like I'm good to go. Like how they do the theatrics with all that. But those could be some things that could make it fun too.
To piggyback on that, I feel like New Day should win the titles and then go to where they have the interviews and stuff and like throw the belts in his face like we did this without you, and then secretly he was already cleared, and then he beats them up and you show them that. Like you go down to where they have the panels at, and it's like you kind of do the Daniel Bryan Miz thing again, and they just keep shoving the titles in their face like we did this without you. You weren't there for us, da da da, and then he beats them up and then maybe finds a different partner, and you could have somebody on Big E's side.
Yeah.
Maybe
If Big E ever returns, that would be a great idea. All right, we got a couple more super chats here. Building Nexus sent in $2. Thank you, Building Nexus. Says, could Haku's sons sell their soul to The Rock? Yeah, I mean, anybody could. Anybody with a brain and a little bit of an evil bone or evil streak in their body, they would do it,
It wouldn't be selling their souls if they're already like on part of the bloodline and just bad guys in general. It's just sell your soul when you were a completely good guy like Cena and completely change and flip. Now you sold your soul. Haku's sons are already kind of in the bloodline.
Right. Yeah, and we'll have to see what happens with the bloodline after WrestleMania. Like that's a big question mark too. And I'm mad at you, MJF the Dark Horse. Why would you even say this? I'm not even going to mention the name. I'm not dignifying this super chat by reading off the name. Somebody's going to return from the dead and help John Cena. Not going to happen.
I wish Dustin didn't re-sign with AEW. Could you imagine if like he was a free agent or anything? Cena at Rock thinks everybody's all good, and his freaking brother returns to save his ass, and like Dustin came out of nowhere. Like that'd be the craziest reunion, and I would think they'd get a huge pop. But
yeah,
he re-signed with AEW.
Yeah, I mean it could have been, but he's getting paid well. Tony Khan likes him, so got to do what you got to do, man, at this stage of the game. And Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. This is an interesting one. Which wrestlers are worse off in the Triple H era. Well, the guys that got fired, I mean, under the Triple H era, Baron Corbin definitely worse off without Vince. The Madcap Mosses of the world, the Rick
Austin
AOP.
Theory.
Briggs, Austin
Austin
Theory.
Theory.
Yeah.
Pure
Tag
Fusion
teams.
Collection. Worst name ever for a female tag team.
Yeah. Who else were like Vince guys that pretty much got forgotten about with Triple H? I mean, Omos, you could argue, like, is another one that really hasn't been used much in the Triple H era. Bobby Lashley. I mean, he ended up leaving and going to AEW. So there's that too. Yeah, quite a few guys, you know, that Triple H. No, Karrion Kross is better with Triple H. Karrion Kross wouldn't have a job if Vince was still in charge. Let's be real here. Yeah, Gino.
You could make the argument that Roman Reigns is worse off under Triple H. Right now, when he was under Vince, he was the champion forever. Vince was trying to make him the main guy, and now he's. I don't know if I believe what the rumors of him expressing his frustration about his spot this year in WrestleMania and him taking a backseat to things. But if that's assuming that's true, or working with the operator under the assumption that that's true, right? Like then, yeah, I would say he is worse off. He's no longer the champion. He's no longer. I mean, he's still part of the most interesting build because he's actually there, but getting only a night one main event when he's been carrying wrestling, essentially Mr. WrestleMania main event the last 10 years, that, I mean, he's definitely taken a step down. You could argue.
I think it's just because he's winding down a little bit, you know, being on a part-time schedule, not committed. I mean, he had his great run. Like, he's taking it easy now. And, you know, he's basically a Brock Lesnar special attraction, just showing up, you know, for 4 or 5 months out of the year and then taking his time off. Here's one. Psycho Jet Black sent in a $2 super chat. Thank you. Says, I'm glad we dodged the bullet named Gable Steveson. Yeah.
Yep.
I think he's another guy, like Vince probably would have kept him around and kept trying with him and, you know, shoving him down people's throats. Building Nexus sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you for that. Says, could New Day lose the belts to Pretty Deadly over the summer? I hope not. I'm not that into Pretty Deadly. I know some people like them, but I kind of see them as a lower card tag team.
They'd
That's
have to
just me.
switch brands too, wouldn't they? Isn't it
Yes.
Pretty Deadly on SmackDown? Then yeah, so they'd
Yeah.
have to switch brands.
Yeah, go ahead, Gino.
Yeah, if the New Day is going to lose the tag team titles, regardless of which brands they end up being on or whatever, I'm sure they'll do a draft or a superstar shakeup or something like that. But I think the perfect people for them to lose the titles to would be to Penta and Phoenix as a tag team. I think that would be like how you transition it to them. I just don't know how you go after building Penta up as a singles competitor, how you kind of, it feels like being in a tag team is like a demotion. So it just feels like he's kind of growing on me, despite me not liking his mask come at the Royal Rumble time and not liking the Cero Miedo. He's kind of growing on me, I begrudgingly say. But I think that would be a good time for them to like come together. We'll take out the New Day, and we'll be these face champions that people want to cheer.
Now, don't forget the Usos too. Reunite them to go against New Day.
I was just gonna say I'm giving away a little bit of my prediction, but I feel like Jay doesn't need a long title run. You have him win the title, maybe 2-3 months he can lose it, and then I think the money's in the reunion with Jimmy, and you have the New Day go on a great run heel, where it seems like nobody can beat them, and you reunite the Usos again. That's gonna be a big pop, and then the Usos win the title from them.
Yeah, you could be right. We'll have to see. I do think Jay's going to win, though, and he'll at least have a brief run. But, yeah, maybe later this year after he drops the title, if he does win, he'll reunite with Jimmy, and they'll have a bit of a run. All right, let's get to this other super chat here. Psycho Jet Black is just firing away here. Psycho Jet Black sent in $5. Thank you, Psycho. Says, I can't wait for people to boo Scrubby Allen when they realize it was because of him that the Death Rider storyline has been dragged out. Poor Darby Allin. Like, if something bad happens to Darby, is Psycho Jet Black going to continue with his Scrubby Allen, or will that be retired if something bad happens. And I hope nothing bad happens to Darby. I do want to see him come back safe and sound. Again, I don't think he's in their plans to beat Jon Moxley. I think it's Will Ospreay. Just my opinion on that one. I don't think people are going to boo the guy either. They love Darby. We got one here from Psycho Jet Black. He says, hard mode. All right, everybody's got to say something here. Say something nice about Alberto Del Rio. Colin?
His manager was funny.
You beat me to it. I was going to say the announcer.
Ricardo, was that his name?
Ricardo, yep. Gino?
He is part of one of the biggest pops in wrestling and my personal favorite successful Money in the Bank cash-in with Dolph Ziggler needing to hit not one but two zigzags because we thought he was going to get Dolphed again, and Alberto Del Rio will forever be the guy in the corner with his knee pad down and his music hits, I'm here to show the world. So I'll always remember him for that moment.
All right, Big G, something nice about Alberto Del Rio. Well, he's not even going to entertain a response to that one. So it was indeed hard mode, and Big G could not handle the heat. All right.
He did what most people can only dream of. He lived his dream. There you go.
All right. How about this one? This one might even be harder. Say something nice about aces and eights. Aces and eights. Well, Eric Bischoff was a good father. He gave his son Garrett 5 minutes of fame. There you go. Something nice.
TNA survived them.
That is impressive. How they got through that and managed to stay in business. That's a great answer right there. Here we go. Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, hard mode, say something nice about Big G's neighbors. Well, I mean, they have apparently not caused any more trouble since then. Am I correct, Big G? Have they been well behaved? Okay, there you go. See, they're better now. It was a one-off problem.
They live next to Big G. That's the good thing.
Right. They're happy to be next door to Big G. Psycho Jet Black sent in another $2 super chat. Thank you for that. It says hard mode. Say something nice about Retribution. Oh, this is the hardest one of them all. Gino?
Something needs to be said about their resiliency because they got bounced around and turned from a serious threat to a comedy act, and they just went with the punches. They were being very resilient all the way up until they were no longer with the company. So takes credit.
All right, Big G.
Yeah, Mustafa Ali got released and went to TNA and had a great run there.
All right. And Mia Yim was wearing the mask, so it didn't really hurt her character too much, and she was able to come back as just herself. You know, that worked out for her.
Until they changed her name to Meechin.
I mean, it somehow made Mace somewhat better in the long run because he teamed up with Mansoor, and, you know, say what you will, those two together are pretty funny, especially if you ever watched, like, their stuff on Up, Up, Down, Down when they were there. Well, I guess it made people somewhat care about those two together.
Oh, no. We got another one here from Psycho Jet Black. He says, hard mode, say something nice about the Death Riders. Oh, no, Matthew. How do we do this?
They
The
all
Dork
still have
Riders.
jobs.
What was
The
that?
white T-shirts
They
are
all.
clean.
He said the white T-shirts are clean. I said they all still have jobs. That's the nicest thing you can say. They're not unemployed.
Nice thing about the Death Riders. I mean, they're better than Aces and Eights and Retribution. I'll give them that, but I can't say too much more. I can't be any more positive than that. Than they were. They're not the worst faction in wrestling history. How about that?
I like Ian's comment. They solve insomnia.
Oh,
and
they caused you to talk about AEW, so there you go.
Yeah, they keep AEW at least in the rotation of discussion. All right, Psycho Jet Black sent in $2. Big G, every time Psycho super chats, Big G gets a little more frustrated, a little less happy to be here. Hard mode, say something nice about the spinner belt. Does that belt spin? No, not much of a spin. Okay, that was all right.
Yeah, it's tough to get it. You got to find the right flick,
I hope if Cena wins, he brings back the spinner belt just to piss everybody off.
I said
I'm here
that.
for
Yeah,
it.
I said
I'm
that
here
on the
for it.
thing.
Yeah. Hey, it sold a lot of merchandise, so
It made his character. It fit his character.
yeah.
Mhm.
And it's funny because the only other person I associate this belt with is CM Punk, which is
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
he took it.
Mhm.
Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, "Easy mode. Say something nice about DDP." Yes, go ahead, Big G.
Yes, he's helped people turn their lives around. Razor Ramon, Jake the Snake Roberts, Lex Luger. I want to see Lex Luger walk on Friday. The man has not been able to walk in how many years? I want to see him
Saturday.
stand on Saturday. Well, on Friday night for the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, well, it'll probably
yes,
be
I guess
Saturday by the time he
Saturday
shows
for
up.
Yeah,
us.
Saturday morning.
I mean, it'll
Yeah,
probably
Saturday
be Saturday Pacific time by the time he gets out there. You know, these Hall of Fames go like 3 hours. And if it starts at 10, it's going to go past midnight Pacific time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, DDP's great. Great wrestler. Well, not the best wrestler, but charismatic wrestler, cool finisher, and a great human being. I mean, we all love DDP. That was an easy one, Psycho. We appreciate that. All right, he had to give us a medium one now. Say something nice about the Steelers.
That's
Big G.
all Big G. That's all Big G.
Big G's the only one that can pull this one off.
I'm mad at my Steelers right now.
Why?
That's
What'd
all
they do? Losing?
No. Oh, it's not even football season. No.
They
I
let
don't,
Russell Wilson go.
Not even that. I just don't even want to talk about them right now. That's how mad I am about them right now.
Well, bad time to ask about something nice regarding the Steelers, then, I suppose. I don't know anything about them, so I can't say anything neutral.
I'm from Cleveland. I'm not saying anything. We all know
Yeah.
Rusty. So
Yeah,
They
you
didn't
know
leave.
what? Still
They
love you,
stayed put in
Colin.
Pittsburgh. They never
Is-
sold and went to another city. I guess that's something nice.
Is
They're
silver
loyal to
their
their
color?
coaches.
Big G, is silver one of their colors?
No, red, black,
Oh.
red, blue, and yellow.
Red, blue, and yellow.
It's black and yellow, is it not?
It is,
Are
but
the
they're
Steelers
little.
not black and yellow? Which one do they have? Oh, you're talking about the tiny
The-
logo.
the-
Okay,
yeah,
gotcha.
yeah,
I was
the
like,
emblems.
what is going on?
Which team is silver?
The Raiders.
the Raiders.
I like their color,
Yeah.
but that's
because
not
they're
the-
neutral. That's
Cow-
not even a
well,
color.
the Cowboys are silver too. If you think about it,
Yeah,
blue and
That's
silver.
silver.
Patriots have a silver alt too, but yeah, I think he's thinking about the Raiders. silver
Oh,
and black.
sorry.
Dude,
I hear-
I want to look at Cycle's W2s because sheesh.
I know, right?
Psycho Jet Black sent in $2 and says, "Dark mode, say something about Virtue, good or bad." Virtue is a great host for the No DQ review, and he's always entertaining, whether he's controversial or he's playing it straight. He's always entertaining and putting on a performance every week.
He's
Anybody
good to
else?
the gimmick and makes this look easy.
Yeah, I mean, it's a hard job to moderate, so I give him credit, for doing it all this time.
He's a great moderator and he knows how to get reactions out of people.
Yeah, because he got him out of me. That's for damn sure.
He knows how to get heel heat, as Triple H would say. He
He's
knows
a
how to
good
work
guy.
people up. Yeah,
He's a good guy. If it wasn't for Virtue, I wouldn't even be on these shows with the review. And
He
same
has
for Aaron.
if you watch Yu-Gi-Oh, Virtue has a lot of trap cards and people fall for them all.
Yeah, they do. Colin,
All right,
it's easier said than done to do this moderating, right?
It is. It definitely is. But I'm having fun doing it. But are we all caught up on Super Chats here?
Yes, we're caught up now.
All right. Well, we're going to do a quick speed edition here. I want to get one last thing in, and that's what we saw last night with Paul Heyman getting shoved to the ground by Roman Reigns. Where's the trust now from Roman and Paul? Where's Seth's allegiance? Because Seth blasted him in the back again, Roman in the back again with the chair. Hit a stomp on Roman. Hit a stomp on Punk. Last man standing with the chair was Seth Rollins, looking and a distraught Paul Heyman in the corner. Um, this is Paul Heyman is the main event of WrestleMania. It's not Punk, Roman, and Rollins. It is Paul freaking Heyman. Uh, Too many options to go with. There's 1,000 different ways this can go, but this has been the highlight focal point of WrestleMania. This match, especially the um interwinding of Paul Heyman, is making this WrestleMania for me. So, just real quick, I just want to get everyone's quick thoughts on that, Aaron.
Yeah, I'll go last here, but this is your guys' last chance to persuade me on my prediction because I said I was changing from Seth Rollins. So you guys, I'll go last with my final prediction for WrestleMania, but I'm going to listen to you guys. Tell me who you think's going to win and what you think's going to happen with Heyman, and I'll make my final prediction. Go ahead.
All right, Matthew, go ahead, bud. Take it away.
I mean, I'm still standing by. I think Seth Paul's going to end up walking out with Seth. But I agree. Paul has been the MVP of this. He continues to cement himself as one of the greatest managers of all time, if not one of the greatest non-wrestling personalities. And yeah, this has kind of been the story of where his trust really lies. And he's better off as a heel than a babyface. It's been fun seeing babyface Paul, but he's always been better as the sniveling weasel that we know and love. And I definitely see him screwing over both Punk and Roman. I mean, I'm still going that he could go with Seth, but he could end up walking out on all three. But yeah, for right now, I'm sticking with he's going to walk out with Seth.
Wow. All right.
All right. I mean, I'm thinking the same thing. I mean, I have been for weeks now, ever since this really took off, and I'm really thinking that. So, Mr. Cruz, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking I was gonna pick Seven until he looked too good on Raw. Like, sorry, that's just got me coming. You know what? I think Triple H has got some guts. I think controversy creates cash, like Bischoff said. I really think Paul Heyman's gonna say he made a phone call. I think Lesnar's gonna do what I said. You F5 all three of them, and Paul just leaves with Lesnar, his original he was advocate originally for, and he just leaves all three of them because they put him in this awkward situation.
I'd be down to see that. I mean, straight up, we've missed Lesnar. I mean, I know I have at least. You know what I mean? The dude's an animal. So, Big G.
Um, I'm sticking with Seth. I feel like him and Rollins are planning something. You know, Seth said it, and we've said it before. Matt just said it. You know, he's never been loyal to anybody. He's turned on Lesnar twice. He's even turned on Big Show back in the day. He's turned on Roman Reigns already. You know, he's turned on CM Punk. You know, so Paul, and I said it too. You know, Paul Heyman has always been better as a heel manager than a face. So, yeah, I think Virtue. This is my hot take. I think he is going to lose. He doesn't need this win. He's going to go. I think he's filming a movie. So Heyman has turned on Reigns. Go back to the Royal Rumble a couple years ago when he rejoined the Brock Lesnar. Anyways, but yeah, I'm going with Seth Rollins with my Mania pick for this triple threat.
He seems to be the popular opinion. Gino, you said you wanted to go before Aaron.
Yes, thank you very much. Guys, you're all putting a smile on my face. Let's just call a spade a spade. I'm the only one who has anything to kind of gain. Colin's been doing great. Virtue's been hosting this for 300 plus episodes. Like, if Rollins wins, that's where we get my opportunity to host the review for one day only. So, if for no other reason, it's got nobody else really has anything to lose. You know, Colin's going to be giving it back to Virtue, even though Colin's done a great job. Virtue's eventually going to come back. So if we want to still shake things up and keep this going, we need Rollins to win. Now, besides the bias, right? This isn't really about Seth looking good on Raw, even though historically everybody knows you look good on the go home show. You're definitely, not even probably, definitely catching the L. I think that first Triple H era, I think he might try to flip that on his ear. And I'm talking to you, Aaron, about how I can convince you to stay with Rollins. So hang with me. It's not about Rollins looking good. It's about his ability to sway Heyman, and he hasn't gotten to him yet. Everybody's talking about his going to eventually walk out with Seth, and I think that that's still the win, the going over that he's going to need to do. He's presumably the only person that's going to be here full time moving forward the next year. His wife is done wrestling for a while. He's not. Heyman is loyal to people that he owes. He pays his debts like a Lannister. Bonus points to anybody in the chat that understands that reference. And I really feel like even if it's not a W on the score sheet, which I do believe it will, he's still gonna end the night as the last man standing with Heyman, whether or not it's an official win. But I would say because of all of the signs pointing to that, and they want to make us think that, oh, we're going to go other ways, or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, they're trying to swerve us without the swerve. So that's my argument to you, Aaron, about why you should still pick Seth Rollins.
All right, fair enough. Well, I guess the time has come to give my final prediction. I appreciate everybody's input, although you guys kind of make me feel like a jackass by sticking with Seth Rollins. And I think you made a valid point there, Gino, but I don't know if Triple H is necessarily thinking, okay, we're gonna swerve everybody and trick everybody because they think if Seth Rollins is the last man standing on Raw, he's losing at WrestleMania. I don't necessarily think they feel that way, and they're really coming up with their decisions based off of that. So I would love to see Seth Rollins win, though. But my gut feeling is I have to play it safe. And after Raw, Roman Reigns just looked too weak. And if you look at WWE's history over the last few years, Roman Reigns, he doesn't look weak 2 shows in a row, especially 3 shows in a row. Like, keep in mind, CM Punk laid out Roman Reigns in Chicago. That was number 1, where Roman Reigns looked weak. And then on Raw, he gets laid out by Seth Rollins. Week number 2, Roman Reigns looks weak. I don't see it happening again where Roman Reigns comes out losing and looking weak for a 3rd time. Last thing before I give my prediction, go ahead, Walter.
I think SmackDown's gonna have a heavy indication on what happens on this match. Like, we gotta wait till Friday. I think you should probably wait till Friday to give your final prediction, because I think it depends. Because if they made someone else look strong Friday, it might swerve you again. Or
I don't
sway
think they're
you, I
going to
should
be on
say.
the show. Is Roman even on the show or advertised?
I don't know.
I don't think he is.
I don't think he is, but you never know.
I mean,
It's-
Cena is, which is why I could still potentially change my John Cena and Cody Rhodes pick, but I don't think any of them, at least Roman, is not going to be on SmackDown on Friday. But yeah, I mean, if they did do something, I could potentially change again. But I have my pick, and this is something that also I have to consider over the years. The times I have bet against Roman Reigns, I've lost multiple times. The only time was WrestleMania 40, and that was after losing several times. I with all due respect to you guys, I think Virtue made the best argument in the chat room about Roman Reigns, how Roman is not going to lose back-to-back WrestleManias. So, therefore, my prediction for the winner of the Triple Threat WrestleMania Saturday main event is the original Tribal Chief, Roman Reigns, which means next Tuesday, Virtue will be right back in his spot and he will resume his duties as the No DQ moderator. So there you have it. I am going with Roman Reigns to win at WrestleMania. And I think Brock Lesnar's not showing up, but Walter, I could see the scenario where Heyman is just like, screw you guys. I'm not picking anybody's side. And there's a moment. What I think is going to happen, you're going to have Roman Reigns and CM Punk both laid out down in the ring. Heyman's going to be there with the steel chair. And then it's going to be that dramatic moment. Who's he going to hit with the chair? He just drops it and storms out, and the match just continues without Heyman. That's what I think is going to happen, and Roman Reigns will ultimately pull off the victory. So there you have it. My thoughts on that. I have sold my soul to virtue. Cleaver, I'll throw it over to you now.
All right. Do we have any other super chats?
We're caught up. He ran out of money.
All right. Well, I guess we'll solve a lot of these mysteries this Saturday with most of the things we talked about tonight. But great panel tonight, guys. Thanks for being here. Um, hopefully, everyone enjoyed the show. Hopefully, everyone enjoys the show this weekend. But for now, let's kick off with some plugs. I'll shoot over with you first, Matthew.
Well, don't really have much to plug. Thanks for letting me be on. It's a pleasure. It's been a joy having you as moderator for the last couple of weeks. Always enjoy, being part of the panels as the predictions. Check out NoDQ. And, let's hope that all of our worries are subsided and Mania ends up being an all-timer. And, just, keep enjoying wrestling. And that's about it.
All right, man. Well, thanks for being here, and we'll catch you next time. Big G, where can people find you, my man?
Yes. So those are all my socials. YouTube, Harley and Joker 2021. If you love cats, bunch of cat videos up there. I need to make some more videos of my cats doing crazy things. It's been a minute. X, NoDQ _big, Baller G, TikTok. I don't know how much for longer with this whole TikTok sale thing going on again, but currently at Big Baller G 1988 and on Insta NoDQ _big Baller G 1988. And yes, if you haven't already, go to Amazon and buy The Fox and the Poppy by my wife. And thanks to Colin, thanks to Gino for buying the book. I don't know if Walter's buying the book yet. And my wife says much appreciated. She loves you guys. That is it for me. Her second book, Coral Under the Sea, is coming out May 31st. Oh, sorry. Harmony Under the Sea is coming out May 31st.
Botch.
Yeah, botch.
All right, G. Well, thanks for being here, man. Happy as always, But oh God, Mr. Cruz, thanks for popping in again last minute. And again, we had a big flux in roster change today.
Yep. Well, first of all, Aaron, you sold out. You sold out. But
Right? I bought in.
But no, just follow the average of YouTube channel. This is literally the schedule. It's the We's Are Gonna Die tour. We joke, but this is literally everything we're doing. Starting tonight with the night 2 predictions, the Simply Reliable predictions. So just follow me on the Rage of Wrestling YouTube channel. I mean, look at Wednesdays. There's literal simulcasts. There's 3 going on that are going to overlap. We got a multitude of teams, and we're going to bring you all the wrestling and more, like Bloodsport. There's just so much going on. So just keep updated with the Rage of Wrestling YouTube channel.
Thanks for being here. Yeah, I'm interested in that Bloodsport event. I really want to see Dunn versus Thatcher run it back again. I'm really interested to see that. But yeah, again, thanks for being here as always. My co-pilot for the last couple of weeks, Papa Gino. Where can people find you, good sir?
It's generous of you to call me a co-pilot, Colin. You've been doing amazing work, and I don't want to take anything away from how awesome you've been at making this look almost as easy as Virtue makes it look. Just well done. Guys, if you want to find me, you'll catch me live streaming, posting movie reviews. I go to movies on opening night. You'll catch that all on my YouTube. Just search Papagino0017 or 0017, as I like to say, but I don't want you to use O's. I want you to use zeros. And give me a subscribe. It would mean the world to me. Always, always, Aaron, thank you so much for the platform, the opportunity to come on here and talk wrestling, for have the community. NoDQ Galaxy is a wonderful community, whether we agree, whether we disagree. it's just an honor and a pleasure to be a part of this community. Everybody, Matthew, Walter, Big G, obviously Colin. You know, it's just awesome. And I hope everybody enjoys their WrestleMania weekend and holiday weekend.
All right, well said. Psycho Jet Black has returned. He withdrew more funds for the super chats here. So, Walter, you had something?
No, his first super chat. I know one good thing.
All right, hard mode. Say something nice about WWE 2019. Go ahead.
Coffee Mania.
That's what I was gonna say. Kofi Mania.
Mm-hmm.
The planet's champion.
Yeah.
Jinx. Yes.
I'm still waiting for them to make a toy belt of that thing, bro. That was sick.
I think they did, didn't they? I thought you could buy that belt.
I'm gonna have to
It was like
check.
$400 last time I checked, but yeah.
Oh, I'm talking about like the $20
Oh.
Walmart ones. Yeah.
Here's
Psycho Jet Black. I can't afford all the real belts.
Yeah, all the real belts I got were left to me in a will when my best friend died. Like when one of my close friends passed. Like I literally, these belts I would never buy them. They're too much.
I also wanted to add the Fiend's debut at SummerSlam. They killed it and ruined it, but it was a cool moment to be there at SummerSlam in 2019 for that. This one's more difficult. Psycho Jet Black says, hard mode, say something nice about Johnny Ace.
I don't have to hear his voice anymore.
He had a unique voice, and it was interesting. It was an interesting voice, but that's pretty much the only thing. He kind of reminded me of Marty Funkhauser on Curb Your Enthusiasm. They very similar look in their voice and everything. So that's a nice thing I could say about Johnny Ace.
Well, he did the Ace Crusher, which would go on to give us things like the Stone Cold Stunner and the RKO. I guess we can kind of give him that.
He serviced Vince well.
Well, Aaron won't know this, but his voice gave me Doc Rivers, reminders of Doc Rivers.
Was that a sports guy?
Yeah. He used to be in the NBA, and then he became like a coach.
All right, well, there you go. All right, we said something nice about Johnny Ace. Easy mode, say something nice about WrestleMania. It brings us all together.
Best night of the year.
It's a tradition.
Nice now. Yeah, it's tradition. And you don't F with tradition.
There you have it. All right, we're caught up. Colin, any final thoughts before we go? This is potentially your last night as the moderator. We appreciate you very much.
No, man, I appreciate the opportunity to do this, you know. So it's been fun the last couple of weeks. Thanks to everyone that's been on. Vito, Robbie Weiss, Jeff Meacham, G, Walter, JJ, Oofman, Matthews, and I, you know, follow me on all this stuff. Check out the Big Vino brand. I had a lot of fun. Hopefully I can be back next week as moderator if you know, old Punk does his job and picks up the dub. If not, hopefully I can just be a part of the panel. You know, and if not, I'll try to be back soon. But it's been a blast the last couple of weeks. Thanks again for having me here, and buy some merch.
Last thing, are you on next week? Even if you're not the moderator?
I did send you and Virtue a message a while ago saying, hey, either, you know, whatever happens, if I can be on, that'd be great. So,
all right, cool.
You know, just let me know.
Because you got to be here regardless. It's going to be very interesting dynamic, you know.
I know. Right? Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to it. And again, Aaron, thanks for, you know, letting me do this. Thanks to Tito for picking me to do this. And shout out to Virtue. You know what I mean? This shit ain't easy, bro. So, yeah. So thanks again. And everyone, enjoy the show. Enjoy the holiday. Or holidays. You know what I mean? There's 2 in one day. So let's think about it. Happy birthday to Big G on Saturday. You know, so it's been a lot of fun. And so come back next week. Let's see who's running this show. And we'll go from there. So enjoy Mania. Say yes to NoDQ. And we'll see you after WrestleMania. Later.